Hello, welcome to this video. In this video we're going to talk about your YouTube income and how to account for it on QuickBooks, and also what does that mean for your tax bill. Stay tuned.
I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it starts. I told him I would do it all for you, and I know you do it for me.
Hello, my name is Patrick. I'm a chartered accountant, certified UK trainer with a fancy new logo, a QuickBooks chap on the internet, and also head of accounts over at Bofik, that accounting firm that doesn't want small business just to survive but thrive. Now, if like me, you've started your new YouTube career in the last couple of months or years or however long it's going to be, one of those metrics I'm sure you're striving for is 1,000 subs and then 4,000 watch time. Why? Because that is how you get yourself monetized on YouTube. And monetization on YouTube is a really good thing. The idea that you can be rewarded for you putting out content is a great scenario to be in. I'm sure like most of you have done videos on YouTube before, you're doing it for the pleasure of doing it. You want to get your content out there, you want to help people, you want to give content that's going to be useful. But it's pretty nice to also get paid for that as well. And that sounds great, but what do you do from a tax point of view, and how do you account for it on QuickBooks? Well, they're the questions we're going to talk about today. Now, before we go any further, when, how, why, etc., do we get paid for YouTube? Well, it's not YouTube themselves that's paying you just for the sake of it. They're paying you because they are able to put advertising in front of your video, and they're getting paid for advertising, and you're getting a cut of that payment they're getting. The amount that you get paid is completely dependent on the type of content you do and on other various factors, like how many people have watched that particular piece of content and so on and so forth. And to physically get paid by Google, you have to hit a few criteria as well. So I mentioned at the beginning, have to have that monetization option. And then you have to go and monetize the particular videos you want monetized, and then from then on in, you have a chance to get paid for those particular videos. It's certainly not an income stream that you can easily and accurately predict, but it is an income stream nonetheless, and one that you want to be taken seriously, especially if you have another business. And if you don't have another business, then you need to be aware of the rules that happens when you receive income that's not been taxed at source. You see, that's a big part of this. The income we receive from YouTube hasn't been taxed. So in some circumstances, you are going to have to pay tax on the income you receive. How much and everything else is all going to be based on your personal circumstances. Now, we've gone through some of those topics here on the channel already, so I'll make sure there's some links below. But really, you want to be making sure that you go through the content we've already done on income and creative income on that. You really want to go through the content about HMRC and when, how and why you'd have to do a tax return. Because it's a tax return one way or another that this income's going to go to. Now, it could be a personal tax return if you're doing this personally, or if you already have a company and a corporate structure, then you also have the option to put it through a company instead. That's all going to be dependent on what Google AdSense account you've set up. Did you set up a corporate one for a company or your own personal one? So the most important threshold you'll ever hear is £1,000. And that's not £1,000 of profit, that's £1,000 of income. So on average, if you're earning more than £83 a month from YouTube, you might want to consider about making sure that you are registered for self-employed income so you can stick that income on a tax return. Because if you earn more than £1,000 in a given tax year, then you need to declare that income on a tax return. And that's what we're going to use today. We're going to go through the idea that you're first starting out on YouTube, you've got yourself your first monetization, and you're worried about what to do with it. Now, for most people, they're going to be putting that through their personal tax return. Okay, so first of all, how do you know how much you're going to receive? Okay, so what we're going to have to do is to understand how much we receive, we need to know what the metrics are for figuring that out. Now, what I would suggest you do is get yourself over to your YouTube studio. From your YouTube studio, you're going to have this particular information. So here is your revenue. The first thing you want to be looking for is your CPM up here at the top. That's going to basically dictate how much per 1,000 views Google's going to be able to claim or get paid for the advertising space that they're going to put in front of your videos. Your other metric here is RPM, and that's how much you are due to receive for every 1,000 views. Over here then is your estimated income. Now notice it says estimated revenue. That means that basically it's looking over the last 28 days that we've got selected up here and trying to calculate what it thinks you're going to receive. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to receive exactly to the penny that amount, but at least you should have some indication of what that's going to be. So use your studio as a way of understanding. Again, that's over the £83 mark. So for me, if I wasn't registered for self-employed, I'd have to think about going to register myself so that come the end of a tax year, if it's over £1,000, I can declare that and make sure it goes on my tax return properly. Again, when it comes to the video, when it comes to how to declare it and everything else, have a look on the channel, subscribe to the channel, make sure you look at the bell and everything else, because we've already done plenty of content on this and we've got more content on its way about making sure that you can get a tax return completed correctly. Let's have a look. So as useful as the YouTube studio is, this isn't going to be a place where you're going to understand how much revenue you're going to get, therefore how much tax you potentially have to pay. What you need to use is this payment calculator here. So get yourself into your Google AdSense, and from your Google AdSense, you'll see that there is a payment option just at the bottom. And notice there's a threshold £60. Therefore, if you're earning less than £60 a month, you won't get paid out until it goes above that £60 threshold. When it does though, you'll see down here what transactions, what amounts has started to come into your AdSense. In my case here, I received the first one of £12.42 and then it went up to £125 in the next one. If I view my transactions, you can see the money that's come in. I've had £12.42 at the beginning, £87.83 during that period, giving me £125 that's come out into my bank account. So it's that £125 that I'm going to see in my bank account, and realistically that's the figure I want to be including in my tax return. Now, technically, we're supposed to be doing what's called an accrual basis, but if you are just starting out and you're below the threshold, I'd highly recommend just doing what's called a cash basis. Therefore, the money you physically received, not having to worry about any money that's not been paid over to you, not coming to payout yet. All that stuff is valid, but it's far too complicated at the beginning of your career. Best thing to do is just keep it nice and simple, opt for a cash basis. Therefore, all you've got to worry about is the money that's coming in. Then all you've got to do is worry about the money that's coming into your bank account. So I know then, using this little view here, that I should receive £100.25 in my bank account. Now, using QuickBooks, that's going to make my life easier, isn't it? So I can jump into the bank account I expected the money to come in, and I can see just here, look, it's called GG Forbes. Now, it could be anything named like that. Your bank account's going to name it whatever it is, but mine's called GG Forbes, and the date was around about the 24th of March. Now, it does seem to be different dates depending, but we can rely on it to be around about towards the end of the month, like the last week of the month, something like that. You should then receive £100.25, as we've already discussed. What do I do with it? Well, I need to categorize this. So I need to go in, put a sales receipt into it, 20%. Or I could put it as a deposit. And if I put it as a deposit, I need to make sure that I'm not worried about VAT. But importantly, I need to make sure my category, I would personally create a brand new one called YouTube Income. YouTube income can be shown just like this. From an account type, I'd put it to income, and I would also put it as other primary income. YouTube income, the name, save and close. That means when I post this one, that's now been posted to YouTube income. If I run a report and look at my profit and loss by month, and look at this month, the reason we've put it in its own category is because then it's easy to spot. There it is, £100.25 on its own little category at the bottom, meaning it's not including any of the other income streams that we're showing on here. And if you use QuickBooks, best thing is you can go income tax, look at the period, press got it, and it will calculate for you what you expect to pay in income tax just here. And that's all well and good if you're using QuickBooks, but what about if you're using something else? Well, I have a handy little tool for you where you can find out how much tax you might have to pay. Let's have a look at it. So one of the videos I'd highly recommend is this one here. Should you be registered with HMRC? What, why, and how? This video is going to go through exactly what you need to know about when it comes to your taxes. But also in there, on every video, is my link tree just here. That's going to take you to this little page. On here, we have some other resources. So you can either get yourself a discounted QuickBooks license, a free demo of QuickBooks, or what I'm looking at is this free tax calculator. I make a copy, sole trader, not VAT registered, income for 2022, income received £125. And what that's going to do is it's going to base it on the fact that you've got other income elsewhere and tell you what your maximum amount of tax could be on there. So there's a handy little tip for you. So there you go, there's a way of looking at it and being able to save for that tax as well. Now, using that calculator is looking at it in a very broad brush and looking at the worst possible idea for you, but think about those expenses you could put on there as well. So if you've got camera equipment, you've got editing equipment, you've got your computer, you've got those sort of things, there's definitely going to have been some sort of expense to get that video up and running. So think about those expenses and think about including them. And that could be a great topic for another video. So if a video about expenses for creators is a good thing for you, put a comment in below, and what we'll do is we'll make sure we include that video going forward. First of all, big congratulations for getting your YouTube channel to the monetization. That is no easy feat whatsoever, especially those first 100 subs. That was an absolute nightmare. But hopefully you found out it's worth it, even if you are only being paid a very small amount. Every little helps and all that. But more importantly, make sure you continue to do your videos based on what the whole point is, and that's helping people or getting your information or entertainment out there. My name's been Aaron Patrick. Hopefully this video has been some use to you. That's why I do these videos. It's nothing to do with the income that's generated. It's all about making sure that people get the support and advice they need, especially if you're new to business. We have plenty more planned in the channel, so do make sure you use that subscribe button, especially if you want to see some more content around YouTube and how you can look at actually saving your money from a tax point of view with YouTube. What expenses can you put on there? Put in the comments below if that's a video that's going to be useful to you. My name's been Aaron Patrick. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to do this video for you. And no doubt, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it starts. I told him I would do it all for you, and I know you do it for me too. I can be a fighter if you want, if you want. I can be a fighter. I can be a fighter if you want. I can be a fighter if you want. All the way that I feel, yeah, I know that it's real, cause I can get him out of my head. I don't care what we do, everything's feeling new. Even if we stay in bed, my heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah. You know I want him, nah, 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 nah. My heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah.
Hello and thank you for watching that video. What you may not know is this channel that you've watched this video from is part of a wider group. That wider group is called AppleCore Production. And the 3 channels that we have involved are as follows: Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks Chat, Boffick's Tax Tip. Finally, we have AppleCore Live and Geeky. All the links and everything are down below in the description, but it really means a lot to us if you can go and give a like to the other channels as well.